What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. If you are new here, my name is James. This channel is WWW, as in I'm the world's worst web developer, and today I'm doing something a little bit different from what I normally do. The past almost all of my videos have basically been me doing various things in Etch. Etch is a new website building platform for WordPress. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. It is obviously still related to web development, and it is, of course, related to Etch, because what else would I be talking about? Today I'm actually going to do, I don't even like this term. I'm going to do a reaction video, but it's not going to be one of those, like, it's not me trying to dunk on somebody. It's literally just me watching a video that was interesting, and I watched about half of it, and I was blowing up this guy's comment section, and I was like, you know what, I should stop blowing up his comment section, and I should just put my thoughts into a video format, since that's what I like to do. And I thought maybe y'all would find it interesting. Maybe you guys want to know what the world's worst web developer has to say about this guy's video. So there's a video from a guy named Chris Good, and I will of course link the video in the description of this video in case you want to go watch his video and hear his thoughts without my annoying ramblings sprinkled throughout. So again, his name is Chris Good. I'll link it in the description. I'm going to go ahead and start the video from the beginning. I watched about half of it before I stopped and decided let's go ahead and do a reaction. So just so you know, I've already seen about the first half, and then at some point we'll get to a point where I will be watching something I hadn't seen before, and you'll get to see my honest initial reaction, as if you care. Let's go ahead and click this button here, and let's click this button here, and let's get started.
There is a new WordPress builder coming out this month, September in 2025, called Etch. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you my initial response to Etch, some of my reservations and what I think is going to do really well. But ultimately, it's not something I would be adopting at this point. And maybe I'm just going to become one of those Wallies who, you know, didn't jump on the wagon soon enough and get a lifetime deal.
Yeah, I don't know what a Wally is, but I think you probably are one if you're not jumping on it. And I get it. The platform is not released officially yet, but I bought this thing months ago just after seeing a couple videos from Kevin and seeing how it worked. So, and I'm really glad I did, because of course the deals get worse and worse, you know, as they get closer to launching the product, right? So the earlier you jump in, the better your deal is. So yeah, honestly, dude, you might be a Wally if you don't jump on this.
But in this video, I'm going to share with you why I have a few reservations, and it's not something I would move forward with at this point in time. So Etch is looking like a really great page builder for the fact that it wants to get you closer to the code. Their first statement on their website is build WordPress websites visually with none of the downsides of traditional page builders. Now that is exactly, from what I've been looking at, what they are doing. Whilst some people looking at their interface, and it's quite difficult to look at their interface because their website doesn't really have loads of great screenshots.
It's really not that difficult. There's 1,000 million videos on YouTube, on Kevin's page, on the Etch official page, on my channel, on other people's channels. It's not difficult.
Or tutorials or videos. But if you dig around and you do actually look at some of the videos on YouTube, then
so he has seen
that there's a lot of code on screen, and people will find that very intimidating. Now, they do.
Yes, some people will find the code intimidating. Those are not the people that Etch is trying to sell to. Etch is trying to sell to professionals and aspiring professionals. So people who are either already comfortable with the code or they want to become comfortable with the code. If you look at code and you go, ugh, I don't want any part of that, yeah, you probably want to look at Elementor or Divi or something.
Stress here that you can build WordPress websites visually, but then you look at the interface and it's code heavy. So what's going on there? Essentially, they do have a visual page builder. And when you take time to look at it, that is a promise that is fulfilled.
I think I know what they're thinking when they write that, but I I believe I completely understand his position on that. I think when they say build a website visually, his first thought is like Elementor, Divi, kind of drag and drop sort of page builder. But I think what they have in mind is, yes, you don't have to build with code, but most of us who are using Etch build with code. But the thing is, the stuff that you're doing in code is immediately, instantly being previewed in the builder preview section, right? So it's even though you're using code, you're building visually because you're literally seeing what you're doing while you're doing it, right? If you go to the CSS and you say color red, boom, the text turns red immediately. So you're building visually, not necessarily with a page with a UI, like clicking add this element here and add a button there like you would do in Elementor. Although you can do that stuff with Etch, I don't think that's what they mean when they say visually. I think they're kind of talking about both their UI element, click a button to add an element, and the coding aspect. That's just my guess based on all the videos I've watched and using Etch for the past couple months. But I understand, because if I had never used Etch and I hadn't watched any videos and I wasn't sure what it was and I saw that on the website, I would read visually, building visually, and I would think of Elementor and Divi immediately as well. So I can definitely see why he might be confused seeing some videos where there's a bunch of code and then this marketing material talking about visual building.
And create, you have a styling panel and you can click on different buttons and it would create the code as you need it to.
Nobody uses that. It's funny. I hope they didn't put a ton of effort into that because, I mean, almost nobody uses it.
But you do have the option, and it is an option, to have the HTML and the CSS and the JavaScript on the screen with you. And this means that you can just jump in and manipulate that at any point. Now that's really, really cool, because in page builders that we work with, well, the latest ones at least, I use Breakdance currently. The code is it is behind a barrier, and you might have little portals or windows where you can put in some custom CSS or some JavaScript or add in a code block in the case of Breakdance. But you're not actually in touch with the code that's created. So in that sense, Etch is really doing something quite unique there, and it's
Correct.
closer to the ideals of being, code first and being an actual web developer. But there still is that opportunity to design visually as you put the site together. So all of that is quite interesting, I have to admit, but it's not something that I feel is going to really catch on for the majority of people that are going to create websites. Now, the first thing
Yeah, I don't think they think that either. Because again, they're everybody else builds for the layperson. They're going for numbers. They want as many users as possible. So they're trying to make their products as dumb and easy to use as they possibly can. Etch is not doing that. Etch, every time you watch a video with Kevin, he says this is a tool for professionals. So yeah, you're right. It's not going to catch on with everybody.
I'd say there is, before they say it to me, is that that's not who they're going for. If you jump
Okay,
onto
he knows.
features, you'll see this attitude is starting to reveal itself in Etch, creators and therefore in their community. Features built for you, not Aunt Carol. And what they're referring to there is the nature of page builders and those creating with page builders being something of a community of people that don't really understand web development.
Correct.
Now, that's a really good point, because one of the big problems for web design in the past, say 10 years specifically, is that pretty much anybody can put a website together. We've got Wix and Squarespace and Shopify saying you don't need a web designer, do it yourself.
Mhm.
And it's all visual drag drop page builders,
And it's all
which
trash.
have really changed the industry. It means that anybody can put a website up. Now, whether or not it handles accessibility well, or whether it actually handles any level of code well, or whether the code is bloated. Well, we all know the answer to that. Page builders generally have to bloat up code because they're trying to work with a user interface and use that to enable the user interface. So I understand the sentiment here. Features built for you, not Aunt Carol. So we're saying, hey, we're real web developers, and we know how to code, we know how to do it properly, and that's what Etch is for. The
Correct.
problem I have with that is that I started here 20 years ago. This is the exact site where I started taking myself through every tutorial. I did everyone each one of them 2 or 3 times. I took myself through HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and I got my little sort of like certificates. And once I'd done that, I started to put websites together for clients. So I was selling websites that I was hand coding, and it was through a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and
And I've never done that. I've never built a site for a client. Uh, I've never built a site for a client that wasn't in WordPress. So kudos to this guy.
stress at a screen. Great learning experience, and certainly one where I share the sentiment with these guys. Okay, web dev, coding, you need to understand all of it in order to do the best job possible. But now I use page builders, and I've often felt that lumps me in with Aunt Carol, or the nephew who built his uncle's
It does. You are Aunt Carol.
plumbing website. I don't look any different to those, even if I started from better beginnings. But there's a reason why I'm now using page builders. There's a reason why,
I don't know what reason he's about to give, but I'm going to say the reason is because what else are you going to do in WordPress? Etch hasn't existed until a few months ago. So what else are you going to do? I mean, if you want to use code in a WordPress website, you have to use code. Like you have to grab a starter theme like underscores, which by the way, I don't know if y'all heard, underscores is being officially retired. They archived the repo. But anyways, I mean, you can grab a starter theme like that, and then you just have to like basically code everything from complete scratch. PHP, HTML, everything. Or you use Elementor or Divi or whatever. So nobody, including WordPress, has built a tool for professionals to build websites in WordPress with. So that's why you use page builders, because what else are you going to do?
page builders are really dominating the market. And one of those is that Squarespace, Shopify, Wix, they made visual web development or web design commonplace. Not only did it take the ability to create a website straight to the business owner, so if you want to save a buck, you can do it yourself. It might look shit and it might not perform very well, but you can get the result you think you need.
Correct.
It did that for one thing. The other thing it did is that it made it possible for Aunt Carol to have a side web design business, or, like I said before, the nephew who made his uncle's website to then start a little agency and start making websites for other people. Again, the code might be bloated because they're using a visual drag and drop or Wix. It might not perform very well. The customer journey might be rubbish, and they might not be using all of the dynamic features that they could, but they are functioning in the sphere, in the business sphere. And here's the problem. From what I've seen on the interface, on the demo videos for Etch, the workflow is not so quick. It is a more complicated workflow, and
I'm not sure I would agree with it being complicated. It's actually very simple. There's HTML, there's CSS, there's JavaScript. Simple. More, what did he say? Did he say difficult?
on the interface, on the demo videos for Etch, the workflow is not so quick.
Quick. Yes. Yeah, maybe. As a guy who built websites with a page builder for years. I used Themify. If you've never heard of it, it's just another Elementor Divi type product. It's a visual page builder for WordPress. Um, it, I honestly don't know if it would be faster to build a website in Themify or Elementor than it would in Etch. Because, first of all, these page builders, you know, their goal seems to be to make it easy to build a website so Aunt Carol can build a website. But at the same time, the whole time they're building this builder, they're going to have people complaining, well, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. So they add all these features. You can do all sorts of, loops and stuff with Themify and Elementor, and you can create templates and all this stuff. So you can do fairly complicated stuff. So if you're building a real website, a website of consequence, as Kevin calls it, and you're using stuff like advanced custom fields or MetaBox, it's going to take a lot of time. Uh, and especially when you're using something like a page builder, there's so much, you end up doing so much custom stuff anyways. You do as much as you can with the builder, and then you jump into the custom CSS box and you just start going to town to make it do the things that you want to do. Sometimes you even got to throw in JavaScript snippets to make it do what you want to do, and it's just I don't think I agree with him that he seems to be implying that building a website with Etch will be slower than building a website with a page builder. And I would like to see Kevin, the creator of Etch, do one of those speed builds that who's doing that? Is it Jamie? Is it Poodle Press? I don't remember who's doing it. Some popular YouTube guy has been doing speed builds. One person used one builder, another person used another builder, and they build the same website and see who can do it faster. I would really like to see Kevin start doing some of those, and see how fast he can build a website with Etch versus someone using, Elementor or something. Because I disagree. I don't think building a site with Etch is going to be slower at all. And that comes from me. Like I said, I have like a decade of using a page builder.
It is a more complicated workflow, and the results from what I've seen on the videos, I've not seen anything that's, I don't know if this is built with Etch.
It is.
I've not seen anything that's, sort of wow factor. Um, and that unfortunately, a big hero section, a nice animation, that is what appeals to, unfortunately, 80 to 90% of business owners.
Yeah, and you can do that all that in Etch. So I don't know what the deal is. I mean, you have to you have to add a library like GSAP or something, but again, this is a tool for professionals. So if you're afraid of using GSAP, you just want to click a little button that says fade in from the left, zero point 0.3 seconds, whatever. Sure, use Elementor and deal with all the bloat and everything that comes with that. But you can do the thing about Etch is you can literally do anything you want because it's all just code. And AI makes it very easy to do a lot of this stuff. Kevin's done some videos, I've done some videos where you say, hey, I want, an accordion. And that's kind of a pain in the butt to sit there and code out all by yourself, right? You got to do the layout and then the JavaScript to make it open and close. Or you just go to Grok, ChatGPT, whatever, and say, hey, I need an accordion. It'll give you the HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You go to Etch, you copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Boom. You have a working accordion. I mean, I don't know. You can literally do anything you want in Etch. That's what makes it so great, because that's the whole selling point of WordPress. Everybody says, "Oh, WordPress is so flexible. If you know what you're doing, you can do anything." Etch is the same. It's the same thing. If you know what you're doing, or if you know how to use AI, you can do anything. And the code output is going to be way cleaner than anything you'll get from Elementor, Divi, Oxygen, whatever. I forget what he's Breakdance. Anyways, I'll stop.
Now, I'm not saying that this doesn't have a place. I think this is a move in the right direction. I really, really do. But there was a time when I knew how to use all of this. I was well practiced, I was sharp. I also used PHP because I was making my own Joomla templates and things like that. Once I moved into Joomla, as away from hand coding everything. I started to use Joomla, but I created my own templates and some of my own plugins. But there's a reason why I got out of practice with all this, and that's because the people that were paying the money, who wanted business websites, didn't want that complexity. They wanted something quick. They wanted something pretty, even if they wanted to ruin the pretty by changing the colors, putting gradients, or putting their logo
That's why you don't let them do all that stuff.
bigger and getting rid of white space. And more importantly, they wanted to be able to take the site over. They wanted to start handling elements of it themselves. And in that sense, I can't see that a step away from Breakdance or a visual drag drop page builder of the moment is going to help most freelancer or small agency businesses.
Okay, so I think what he's saying is that the main point he brought up was when they want to take the website over, he doesn't think that going away from page builders is going to help agencies and freelancers in that regard. So I think what he's saying is if you build a website in Etch, you don't want to hand that over to a client because they won't know what to do with Etch. I'm like 99% sure that's what he's saying. First of all, have you ever tried to teach a client how to use a builder? And I have to admit, I've never used Breakdance. Maybe Breakdance, my experience mostly is Themify. And then I've had some clients who use Elementor. So I'm fairly familiar with Elementor and Divi. Have you ever tried to teach a client how to use one of those tools? It's not fun. It's not fun. It's basically, I just make videos. I'm just like, oh, you want to know how to do this? They send me an email saying, I'm trying to do this. And I'll say, okay. And I do it for them. And I just record myself doing it. And I send it to them. And I say, hey, if you ever need to know how to do this again, here's the video. And that usually helps. They eventually will get it because I've been using Themify for years. And my clients do eventually get the hang of using it. But it takes time. It's not these page builders, they're not as easy to use as their marketing teams would like you to think they are, especially for non-techie Aunt Carols. The great thing about Etch is that your clients won't be using Etch. If you build a website in Elementor, your client has to use Elementor to update it. I'm assuming Breakdance is similar. With Etch, your client would be updating content using the block editor. So if your client needs to update their phone number, whatever, their business address, their hours, they can log in to the website and update that with the block editor, because everything that you do in Etch becomes a block. And you can edit a page with the block editor. You could add a block, and then you go into Etch, and there it is. It's everything syncs back and forth. So I don't think this. I think he's saying this because he hasn't used Etch. I know he hasn't used Etch because he said he's probably not going to buy it, so he hasn't bought it yet. And he says he's watched a few videos, but I want to know what videos he's watched because Kevin talks about this fairly extensively. The fact that whenever you do something in Etch, it gets turned into a core block, and then your client can easily go in and update content with the block editor. They don't need to use Etch. You don't want them in Etch. Etch is for you, the professional, and then the block editor is for your client. So I just think he's saying this because he just doesn't understand Etch fully.
There are occasionally some website projects which when they're brewing, when I'm taking in the, when I'm scoping them, I'm like, that isn't going to work well with Elementor. It's not going to work well with Breakdance. It wouldn't work well with Oxygen. But in that sense, I'm feeling like it wouldn't work well with WordPress. And so I need a different system altogether to fulfill that project.
That's because they're all the same. Breakdance, Elementor, Divi, Oxygen. I mean, they have their differences and, oh, this is better. But they're all the same concept. So Etch is completely different. I have a feeling if you actually understand how Etch works, then you would realize that there's almost nothing that you wouldn't be able to do. I don't think any client could come to you and say, I want a website that does this. And you'd have to say, well, we can't do that. Between the fact that WordPress is what it is, you can just about do anything you want if you know what you're doing. And Etch, I don't know. I don't know. I should probably let him talk more. I want to know what his solution is for those customers, because he just said that if he doesn't think it's going to work in Elementor, Oxygen, or Breakdance, he says it probably just isn't going to work with WordPress at all. Well, I would challenge you to consider possibly, well, if it doesn't work with Elementor, Breakdance, Oxygen, maybe it actually would work with Etch, because you can do everything. You can do loops, you can do conditionals, you can do all sorts of stuff. Um, yeah, and of course I would like to know like a real life example of a website where he sat down with a client and was like, I just don't think that's going to work with WordPress. And I'd love to know like why specifically he doesn't think that it's going to work. It sounds like it's because they want to do something that you can't do with Elementor, Breakdance, Oxygen. And if you can't do it with Elementor, Breakdance, or Oxygen, then you can't do it in WordPress, because what else are you going to do, right? Just build the whole thing completely custom from scratch. I don't know.
Of the moment is going to help most freelancer or small agency businesses. There are occasionally some website projects which when they're brewing, when I'm taking in the when I'm scoping them, I'm like, that isn't going to work well with Elementor. It's not going to work well with Breakdance. It wouldn't work well with Oxygen. Um, but in that sense, I'm feeling like it wouldn't work well with WordPress, and so I need a different system altogether to fulfill that project. If I'm at that point, I feel like I wouldn't therefore use Etch.
It's because you don't understand Edge yet.
Do you
It's
see what
okay.
I mean? If I'm at the point where I'm like, well, Breakdowns isn't going to handle that, for how quick I can put that together, for how well they do optimize code as much as a page builder can, I think
So not at
Etch
all.
might be able to do it better, but I think there's a longer workflow, a more complicated workflow, and I can't hand that over to other people, different people on the team. Um, there are lots of drawbacks to small agency and freelancers.
That I can actually understand a little bit. If you have a team, so I'm all by myself, so I don't have a team to worry about, what their knowledge or skill level is. If you have a team and you built your whole business around a page builder like Breakdance, and you're hiring people, you're not really concerned with how well they know code. You're concerned with how good are they with Breakdance or whatever page builder you're using. So I can see his point there. If you have a small agency and you've built the whole business around a page builder, it could be difficult to, you would have to just like have somebody on the team who is like the Etch person. So, if you're going to build a website and you're going to use Etch, it's got to be this guy, because everybody else, they don't know what they're doing and they have to use Breakdance. So that could definitely be a pain point or a struggle for small agencies for sure.
When it comes to using something like Etch. So again, just to quickly clarify that, there's workflow being quick and easy. There's the site being good enough for most of the business clients that we have, and in order to tick off the things that they feel are important. There's the priceability, priceability is a new word which I'm going to come to in a second, and there's the ability to put it into either the client's hands or the team members' hands, or hand it back to the designer. There are some people that I do design, they do the design work, I develop the site, and then I hand it back for them, and they work with their clients. So that's white labeling work on my part. I'm not seeing that with Etch. For all of the features, um, I'm not seeing visuals of this. I'm not seeing lots on their YouTube channel. That helps me feel like this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with that. And I don't know if that's going to change when they actually launch, because keep in mind, this product is not even launched yet. The only people using it are crazy people like me who gave this company a bunch of money hoping this was a good product. And it is. I've been using it for a couple months and I love it. But um, their website does not really have much in the way of, here's what it actually looks like. and their YouTube channel right now only has like 3 videos on it. But Kevin's YouTube channel, most videos coming out over the past couple months have been about Etch. And even if they're not about Etch, because he does videos where he's just teaching people how to do web development stuff, he used to do all those videos in Bricks. Well, now he's doing them all in Etch. So you gotta go to Kevin's YouTube. Basically, right now is the best place to see Etch in action. And then, of course, if you purchase Etch, you get invited to the private community, and there's a whole bunch of people in that community. And we're all sharing stuff. There's a whole section just for sharing cool projects you've done with Etch. There's a section for training videos. Anybody can throw a training video in there. But that's if you have actually purchased Etch. If you haven't purchased Etch, Kevin Geary's YouTube channel is probably the best place to go to see Etch in action. And I'm assuming that they will probably, you know, put more stuff like that on the website. The thing is they're changing stuff constantly right now because it's still in production. And so we're all using it and we're loving it and we're providing a bunch of feedback, and then they go in and they change stuff. So they probably don't want to put a bunch of effort into putting a bunch of visuals on the website when those visuals are going to likely change. So I think once the product actually launches officially to the public, then they will probably start putting a lot more visuals. There is docs already. I don't think they link to it on the website, but if you just go to docs.etchwp.com, you can see they've started working on the documentation, which of course is also a work in progress because things are constantly changing. So all that to say, you're right. You can't really get a lot from the website as far as what does this thing actually do? Is it good? So if you want to know what Etch is all about, go to Kevin Geary's YouTube or my YouTube. But probably Kevin Geary's is better because he's not the world's worst web developer. Go there and you can actually see Etch in action.
Workflow or something I can hand on. And a lot of these are ideals which I held. I used to hold them when I was this guy, but I got nudged out of the market, and now I'm a page builder wanker just because that's what the market was calling for.
Yes, and no one can blame me for that. There's no judgment here. I called myself a web builder, a website builder, because I didn't like calling myself a web developer because, like you, I was using a page builder. And so I just didn't feel like I was developing anything. I was putting together websites using Themify, but I wasn't really a developer. Now that I use Etch and because I've never built client websites with code like he was talking about, but I did learn. I built my first website when I was 12. It was a Dragon Ball Z fan page. It's still live on angelfire.com. Not lying. But that site, I didn't know CSS yet. Certainly didn't know what the heck JavaScript was. That page, I don't want to reveal how old I am, but this was 28 years ago. And CSS, I'm pretty sure existed, but I didn't know anything about it. So the whole thing was entirely HTML. And it wasn't until years later, well out of high school, I think I was out of the Navy. I was a grown adult before I finally decided to learn CSS. And then I started dabbling in things like JavaScript and whatnot, but I felt a little bit more like a developer back then. Only because I didn't know how much I didn't know. But I would build just stupid crap for myself with HTML, CSS, messing around with JavaScript. And then I discovered WordPress and then page builders. And so somewhat similar story as this guy, just not quite as, like I said, I wasn't actually building client websites with code like he was. But now watching a lot of Kevin's videos and another guy on YouTube, Kevin Powell, his YouTube is all about CSS. I've learned a lot more than what I used to know back then. And now that Etch is a thing, I'm actually using these skills that I was rapidly losing because I've been using Page Builder for so long. So I get it, man. It's not your fault. like I said, it would have been crazy to be building every website for your clients in pure, just straight up coding it from scratch. It's also very difficult to do that in a manner that makes it easy for your clients to update themselves. So using a page builder made sense. And then you used a page builder for years and you started to lose some of your proper web development skills. I'm here to tell you that if you start using Etch, you will gain those skills back and more, because I'm guessing that a lot of stuff has happened that you probably aren't super up to date on if you haven't had to know CSS, JavaScript super well because you've been using a page builder. I know that was the case for me for sure. So I forget what the original point I was trying to make was, but I don't blame you for jumping on the page builder bandwagon because there really wasn't a lot of other options.
For 90% of the time. Again, if there are custom projects that need to step outside of the page builder capabilities, I would step outside of WordPress, which means
Because you have to, because you can't really build a website with Elementor and build parts of it with Elementor and parts of it without. I'm assuming Breakdance is similar. Although Web Dev Studios does have this theme switcher thing that they've been talking about lately, but that's brand new. So yeah, I mean, if you can't do the entire thing in your page builder of choice, then you almost can't use WordPress.
that Etch is not the correct system, I feel, at this point. So, okay, those are some of my initial reservations, but then we come down to some of the practical ones, which, again, as I've said, I've not found many tutorials on this. I've looked at their own website. I've seen some of Kevin's walkthroughs, live videos. Kevin's the guy that created Etch. And again, I agree with everything he says. I do agree with everything he says about knowing code, understanding it, becoming better, learning the basics before you step into using a
Then
tool
get
and
on
doing
board, man.
shortcuts. I absolutely agree with Kevin, and I agree with why he's made this.
However,
And the team has developed, I think there's 11 people who are working on this. But I'm not seeing how I could take this into my freelance side of work or into the agency. I've just talked them around to going into breakdance, speaking with the higher ups than myself. And I can't see how this is going to work with the agency model. Now, for one thing, it's looking at the price. Now, obviously, this is a lifetime deal at the moment. There's no free trial. There's no way that I can just very easily download it, have a go, get in the interface, get confident, start to love it, and create a bit of something that I feel is giving me hope. I want to get excited about it, but it's behind a paywall, and I'm not paying that to have a go. No way. One of the things
yeah, I kind of feel that. The thing is, it would be difficult to. I mean, I guess you could do free trial, but free trials. I don't know if this guy's ever owned a product, um, but free trials are just a pain in the butt to manage, to deal with. Setting when you're setting up your payment gateway and all that. Free trials are just a pain in the butt, and so it's if I had to choose, I would rather have like a free version of the product and then have the premium version. Uh, but not everybody does that. I mean, I worked for the company that owns LearnDash, and I worked on LearnDash as a product owner, and they don't have a free version. I mean, I think I heard rumblings that they might be thinking about making one, but for years they didn't have a free version. It was just you just got to buy it and try it, and they have a refund policy, So if you don't like, you can get a refund, but um, it's just that's the thing is dealing with refunds is actually less of a pain in the butt than dealing with like free trials. So I kind of get it because this product is better than things like Elementor, and this product is being marketed and built for professionals. So It's going to be a higher price point for sure, and that's why you gotta get in early, man. What did he call himself? A Wally? Don't be a Wally, man. Get in on this now. The deal I got is even better than the deals you're seeing on the screen because I bought it so long ago. And I mean, a lifetime deal is pretty darn good, man. How many freelancers are gonna use up 250? How many freelancers are even gonna use up 50 websites? It's gonna be a while before you get that. And to be able to pay $800 just one time, no annual fee, just one time, and get 50 websites out of it. Um, I, it feels expensive because we're so used to all these crappy, cheap WordPress plugins. But if you're a professional, $800, that's not that much. I'm building a website right now, unfortunately not in Etch because I started it a long time ago, uh, that I'm charging them $20,000 for. $20,000 for one single project. And $800 is nothing compared to that, right? It's so, but I get it. The sticker shock, because we're in WordPress land where everything is $50 a year. And if it costs more than $50 a year, oh, that's so expensive. And now we're looking at numbers up here, $500, $800. It feels expensive, but it's really not. If you're running a serious business, it's not. If you're Aunt Carol building your own website for your bakery, whatever, yeah, maybe you don't want to spend $500. You're just going to go to Squarespace, whatever. But for a professional who's actually making money, these prices are nothing.
Here is that for WooCommerce integration, you have to be at the agency model. I'm unsure of how that's going to work. After September.
Nobody is. We also don't really know what that WooCommerce integration means exactly. A WooCommerce product is just a custom post type. So it's going to work. You're going to be able to do most things you want to do with any version of Etch, but they're going to build some WooCommerce specific features, I guess, or tools that'll just make it easier if you're building with WooCommerce. I myself am very curious to know what that is because I'm a dummy. And when I bought this, I chose the plan on the far left. And so I didn't get the WooCommerce integration. So I'm like really wanting to know what that even means and what am I missing out on? What am I not going to be able to do? That being said, if I have the choice of what to use, I'm not going to be using WooCommerce anyways. I'm going to be using SureCart for e-commerce. But I might come across a website that needs to do something that WooCommerce can do and SureCart can't. And so I don't know. We'll see. I just want to know what this WooCommerce integration is because I didn't get the plan that comes with it, so I'm going to be missing out on something.
After the initial launch and everything like that. But yeah, but that's WooCommerce integration. But that's a starred feature, which these features are not currently available, but are planned for the near future. Do not expect these features to be available right away. Again, I'm completely on board with doing something new, trying it, launching it, and taking it somewhere. But the pricing is quite severe for something that isn't actually out of the gate yet. WooCommerce integration.
Yeah. Disagree, but I get it because you haven't used it for 2 months like I have, so you don't get just how good it is. Um, the thing about this, there are people out there who spent a lot of money on day one when Kevin first launched this project, announced this project. He hadn't written a single line of code yet. He just said, "Hey, we're building something." We didn't even know what it was called yet, I don't think. And he made some crazy amount, $1 million or something, in pre-sales before any code had even been written, which blew my mind. I was like, that's insane. But then I didn't really know Kevin at the time. I didn't know what he'd done. That basically Kevin did, he built something called frames and he built something called automatic CSS. And basically, apparently those products were just so good. Again, I never used them, hadn't even heard of them until I started seeing Kevin on Twitter. These products were so good that it built a ton of trust. So when Kevin came out and said, we're building a whole new way to build websites in WordPress, you need to get on board, a bunch of people did. I did not. I was not one of those people. I waited until I started seeing Kevin actually use Etch in his YouTube videos. And I made the decision that I needed to get on board with that. Um, but and there's a lot of people who were calling it vaporware, which is just, I don't know. I don't know why you'd think that. If you knew Kevin, he's been around. He's not just some random guy who popped up out of nowhere. He built frames. He built automatic CSS. He's done a ton of training videos for bricks. I mean, he's not going anywhere. So this idea that he just popped up to announce this thing to make a bunch of money and then he's gonna like disappear and not actually build anything, it's possible, but I don't think it's very likely. And he hasn't done that. I mean, hasn't been a year yet, and Etch is amazingly powerful already, and it hasn't even been launched yet. It hasn't been fully released yet. So yeah, again, it feels like a lot of money, but if you've been following this since the beginning, then you know that even if you don't think it's worth, say, $800 for 50 websites right now because it hasn't been fully released yet, it will be. And I am very confident in that because I've seen it from the very beginning. I've watched it grow from being able to do hardly nothing to being able to do a ton. I've personally already built 2 websites for clients with Etch. I took somebody off of Elementor and rebuilt their site in Etch. Took somebody else off of Divi, rebuilt their site in Etch. Both those clients are very happy. So this idea that, oh, I don't want to get in on it because it's not even fully cooked yet. Well, it's very, very close. They're launching it in September, and they've been working on this for 11 months, I think. And if you've been following that story at all, I promise you, you would have absolute confidence that this product is going to, they're not going to abandon it at the last second. It's the amount of work they put into this, the stuff that they've been able to do. It's not like they're going to just give up all of a sudden and not finish the product. Okay, it's going to get finished. So this is the third time I said it, but I'm telling you, man, get in on it now because these deals, they're not going to be this good in September when this product launches. And I'm afraid that you're going to look back and be like, dang it, I should have jumped in on it. I don't know. I don't want to I'm not trying to be a Etch salesperson here.
And even just the solid promise of it, I feel like that's quite necessary before, committing to, to that kind of price.
What's
I can jump
necessary?
on something that isn't actually out of the gate yet. WooCommerce integration and even just the solid promise of it, I feel like that's quite necessary before, committing to, to that kind of price.
Yeah, because if you're reading that and you're thinking, wait a minute, is the freelancer plan, am I just not going to be able to use WooCommerce? No, you will be able to use WooCommerce. This could maybe be a little more clear on this website what the WooCommerce integration actually means. Because yeah, if I was reading this, I'd be thinking, oh, wait a minute, I have to get the agency plan to even use WooCommerce. So hopefully they'll get a lot of this stuff ironed out when they actually launch. And when we launch, we'll probably actually know what the WooCommerce integration even is, and that'll be on this website. So
I can jump on Framo right now and Webflow, and I can start to have a play within minutes. I could be doing that at no real expense. Even this, if I buy it and then don't like it, I would have to pay 5% so they can handle the refund. Now again, that's nothing to do with the page builder or the ideals or how great a product it might be, but it's a barrier, and I don't think it's a clever one at this stage in the game because there aren't lots of pictures, videos, things to get me excited. Every video that I've found has been only creating just a light sort of hero section without full styling. I don't know the
what videos are you
capabilities of this
watching?
builder. I'm seeing lots of ideals, and I'm getting called Aunt Carol. and I'm a little bit insulted because, again, I started here and the industry has pushed me into page builders. I
I was Aunt Carol too, man. Don't be offended. Just get better.
really want to know why I should step out of it, aside from like when I'm speaking to, aside from somebody saying, "You're fucking lousy. Your maker's a flat pack from IKEA. God, that's
Language.
shit. You should learn how to go down, cut a tree, prepare the wood, blah 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 blah. Make your own fucking table." Yeah, I get it. We should be.
Not the greatest analogy. I am a amateur woodworker. Um, it's just not a great analogy, man. Because the table you buy from IKEA will do the same thing a table that you build yourself will do. The differences are fairly minimal. Um, this is, yeah, I just don't think that's a great analogy. There's a pretty big difference between a professional who knows what they're doing building a solid website versus Aunt Carol building a website with Elementor or Squarespace.
Skilled. I want to go out there and hunt something and butcher it and prepare the food. I want to go fishing and gut the fish, not just go and buy a pre-packed one from Tesco. I get it, but tell me how I'm going to monetize that properly with your price range. And
Dude, let's do some math, bro. Let's do some math. Okay. We're talking about a lifetime deal. Let's assume the $800 product with the WooCommerce integration. You get 50 websites. How are you going to monetize having to pay $16 per website? I don't know. Just add $16, I guess, to the proposal for each website. We're not talking. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to dunk on this guy. But come on, dude. These numbers are not that crazy. I think maybe we're so used to, first of all, everything in WordPress being cheap, and we're also used to everything being an annual subscription. So maybe our brains are looking at $800 and we're thinking, oh, $800 a month or a year, that's a lot of money. No, we're talking about a one-time fee here of $800, which is nothing compared to hopefully one single website project. I don't know how much this guy's charging for website projects, but if you could go get one cheap project. You could just be like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Twitter and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to build a website for somebody, for one lucky person, for $1,000. I normally charge 5, 10,000, whatever. I'm going to build a website for $1,000 and just knock out a website for some random person for cheap. And there you go. You just got yourself an Etch license, and you get to build 50 websites now with that. I mean, come on, dude. $16. I've been letting it go, but he keeps bringing up the price of this like it's some astronomical fee. And you're a web developer. What costs do you have, bro? You have a few. Maybe you pay for Adobe or something like it. A web. It is not expensive to. There's not a lot of overhead involved in being a freelance web developer. Okay, and $800 to build 50 websites, $16 per website. That's just not a lot of money, man. You got to stop bringing up the price. If you're gonna hate Etch, find another reason.
tell me how. Show me, convince me. I wanted to be convinced. I got excited. I must be honest. But yeah, at the moment, I'm seeing ideals, which again I agree with, but I can't make it work at this point. So I wish you all the best.
Yeah, for your agency, probably not. But I think you might regret not trying it for, because it sounds like he does freelance work by himself, and he maybe also is a part of an agency or maybe owns an agency. He wasn't clear on that, but he kind of, the way he talked about it earlier made me think that he kind of is in both of those worlds, agency and freelance. I would say, man, get on the freelancer. Um, it might be hard to onboard your whole team in an agency, but just for you by yourself, I think you got to do it, man.
I will keep a very keen eye. I have to ask the question, why in WordPress? It seems like you could build something a bit separate here. So really,
So just go ahead and build an entirely new CMS and then get what? No customers because who is going to jump on some completely random new CMS? I don't know. I think WordPress is the play. I don't think it's. I honestly was about to abandon WordPress. I was looking at Statamic because I was just frustrated with WordPress. I was tired of being Aunt Carol. And then Etch kept me in the WordPress world. I think it makes so much more sense to just build this with WordPress because first of all, Kevin is already wildly familiar with WordPress, and WordPress is still the largest, most popular website builder tool. And so he's already got a huge following of WordPress nerds. So I don't know. I think that was a silly question. I think it makes a ton of sense to do this on WordPress versus building an entirely new content management system.
To summarize, I love that there's something else being built. I love that it's closer to ideals, that it's about learning for yourself the true skills behind the tools. And I'm really on board with that. The whole thing of my recent videos was that Elementor and Divi before that failed and died, and suddenly we had to go and find another tool and make new promises to clients. My current promise to
I mean, I hate Elementor and Divi as much as the next guy, but they failed and died. I'm not sure what he means by that. Maybe he just means for his business, they just those tools weren't working out for what he was trying to do.
clients is I'm using Breakdance, and it's currently the best that you're going to find in terms of a builder, and it has loads of
I got to look at breakdance. I've heard people talk about it. I literally have no idea what it's like. No idea. Um, I was getting kind of looking at bricks. I actually bought a single site license to play around with it, and then by the time I got even barely familiar with that, Etch came around. So I left bricks behind. But I got to check out breakdance and see what this builder's all about. See if it's any better than what I've used before, Elementor and all that.
pluses. But the downside of using these tools is that you are dependent upon them. And to have your own
Correct.
core skills and have them sharp and usable at any moment means that you are independent, you're strong, and you're capable. Also, you're actually able to better judge the tools around you as for being a better outcome. Now, again, page builders, they have drawbacks. They are bloated code. You're forever fighting in terms of performance. You've got to work harder with accessibility.
Correct.
Personally, the mess last year with WordPress just made me go, okay, what else is out there? And
Same.
of course, it's always a thought of like, can you just create your own? But in my line of work, I am a freelancer. I do white label work, but then I also head up a web department for a marketing agency.
Okay, so he is in both worlds. I was correct.
And all of the clients that I see really coming in 90% of the time, so the lifeblood of the business is fast work, as good as you can work, best performance, but it has to be something that you can pass on to others. I often have templates or themes or sites that are coming from other developers who have taken more of a raw approach. And the reason why they have lost the client is because the client can't sign in and change their own site, and that's what they expect to be able to do these days.
Hmm.
In fact, a recent client
That's what I love about Etch so much.
that was onboarded, it was specifically because the site was completely hand coded, and they couldn't go in and change it themselves. So they were asking me to do that. I did a few jobs, and then it was like, hey, if this is a priority for you, this can be rebuilt in a page builder using WordPress, and they're really happy with their site, and they're not going to leave anytime soon. So that's where we have to sort of balance up between our ideals, our core skills, and the tools that we're going to use. Um, yeah, great ideals, but how far will they go? I wish I could have tested this out for myself. I really do. But these prices, they don't work, unfortunately, in my view. Not for me, at least. Okay, so if
What are you
you
charging?
are
50
looking
bucks a
around for a
website?
page builder to use, and you choose breakdowns, well, I would suggest that you do go and check out breakdowns, obviously, after.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. This guy seems likable. I'm gonna subscribe to his channel. I think I could learn some things from this guy, but I also okay. So he seems to have two kind of hangups with Etch. One being the price, which I already talked about, is silly. It's silly, dude. If it actually works and you like it and it improves your web development abilities and it allows you to produce better performant websites that are easy to manage, $16 per website is nothing, dude. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. And the other hang up he has seems to be with he's afraid of handing a site built in Etch over to a client, which that's just he's not familiar with Etch. He doesn't know how it works. He hasn't watched the right videos. Maybe Kevin could try to emphasize that feature of Etch a little bit more. I've tried to emphasize it in my videos, the fact that everything you do turns into an actual core block and therefore is very easy for your clients to update. So yeah, those seem to be his only two hangups, and I just don't think they're very good arguments against Etch. But that being said, I can sit here and talk about how, oh, the price is nothing, but I did hesitate. I hesitated when I first saw it, but I just kept thinking about it, and I was like, dude, it's a one-time payment. It's a lifetime deal, one time, and I get all these websites, and I got even more than what is available now because, like, you know, I jumped in earlier. The earlier you jump in, the better. And even since I jumped in, it's come a long way. It's obviously come an incredible long way from not existing to where it is now. But just in the short couple of months that I've been using it, it's improved in so many ways. It's going to replace so many things. If we want to talk about money, how much are you paying for advanced custom fields? Because you will never need that anymore with Etch. You don't need advanced custom fields with Etch. Okay, so whatever you're paying them for the pro version of that, or if you're using Metabox, whatever, you don't need it. Okay, how much are you paying for WP Grid Builder? Because you're not going to need that either when you use Etch. Okay, there's going to be a bunch of plugins that you just don't need to use anymore. And so if you want to talk about money, let's talk about money. Okay, if it's only costing you $16 per website, and you also don't have to pay for advanced custom fields or Metabox or WP Grid Builder or who knows what else, it'll probably replace Yoast, all these other plugins that you're paying for, and you're getting a better website that's way easier for your clients to update than Elementor. Again, maybe Bricks is really great for your clients. I don't know what it's like, or I didn't mean Bricks. What do you use? Breakdance. So maybe that's not a huge selling point to you, but it was for me because I used Themify, and as familiar as I am with Themify, my clients never heard of it, and it was kind of a pain in the butt to get them onboarded onto that. So way easier to show them the block editor, way easier. But that's it for this video, guys. It's something new. If this is the stupidest thing you've ever watched, let me know. If you didn't hate it and maybe you want to see me do another one, let me know that too. Again, I will link to this guy's channel and this specific video in case you just want to go watch it through without my ramblings. And definitely check out his channel, give him a like and subscribe. And if you watch this, sir, I'm not trying to dunk on you. I hope I wasn't being a jerk. Just trying to give my honest feedback, just like you were doing. You're giving your honest feedback about Etch. I'm giving my honest feedback, and I highly recommend you try to check out maybe some more of Kevin's videos, maybe even some of my videos, because I think a lot of your hangups come from just not really understanding Etch very well. And you're right that the website is not a great place to go to understand Etch. You got to go to Kevin's YouTube channel for that. So, all right, thanks for watching, guys. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.